of those for a very long time, and my cousin took over from him in due course. What we have done is we have I've established a firearm safety team. So specifically, it looks like a manager, 2 coordinators, 2 supervisors, and 10 staff spread out across the country. The purpose of that team is for community engagement and education. For the directorate, the mantra that I have is with community, for community. Because it's only if we understand from community what the issues or opportunities are, that we can work collaboratively to get things addressed or understood and find the middle ground. Within that team, what they're doing this financial year is they've got a heavy focus on delivering the firearm safety course. What we've done with that course since we've taken it back from Mountain Safety Council is we have increased the course content, which now means it's a 6-hour time frame, which is about 5 hours of learning, so you have a half-hour lunch break and a couple of other breaks, and a smaller class size. So we're getting a greater instructor to student ratio with improved content. We're also, over time, growing the pre-course learning available online, and certainly changes to the Firearm Safety Code. We've got some feedback recently, and with the new edition that will roll out in the next couple of months, address the number of the concerns around one of the scenarios that we had, the lack of a duck scenario as well. So yesterday I was up in Gore and I observed the first couple of hours in one of the deliveries. So we had was a course that could cater for 10. We had 9 locals turn up, one no-show, which is just the way it is. Yeah, it was really good to see it in action. In due course, what that team will do is they will branch out and look more about different connections through clubs, organisations such as this, with your local dealers, rock branches, fishing game branches, understanding more about, let's say zoos, Arana Park and Christchurch, maybe they've probably got firearms there as a safety precaution. Airports certainly do, and other businesses, regional councils, police control. We want to learn a little bit more about that. And as we do, what is it we can do to contribute to safety and compliance for those users of the firearms in their work or other sort of context. During this financial year, we are going to establish a small working group from the community that will work with us to build what I'm terming as a framework for the community delivery of the firearm safety course. So the course that my team is delivering at the moment, the intention would be, if that is a going package, is we would create a framework that might say individuals in different parts of the community have the right skills, knowledge and experience. Let's say all of yourselves, your colleagues back in your branches. If you signed up to this, if you met the relevant criteria, maybe similar to having some sort of instructional qualification, I'm not sure, but we'll work through that. And you'd be accredited with delivering the safety course. So what that would mean is, going forward, is that someone who has applied for a licence, they would have a number of choice points as to where they would go to meet the mandated requirement of doing the safety course. So they could come to us and we would publicise that, but we also work with you and publicise your availability and recognition of you, those community trainers, as a recognised deliverer. So if you're a recognised deliverer, we would do the trainer-trainer with you, we would provide you with a package, and then we would do the quality assurance over the top. The driver behind this is there's a lot of skills, knowledge and experience in the community that far exceeds anything that can be delivered in a course. So the course is very basic, your legislative requirements, your basic safe handling, picking up the firearm, keeping the safe direction, unloading, making it safe, a couple of very basics like that, transportation, home storage and the like. We've only got a limited time frame. But what's the plus opportunity off the back of that? This is the intention where, by getting into the community, a new person into the regime can get buddied up or mentored or coached by someone. So I've come back into the shooting world in the last 2 years. So one of my team, some of you may know him, Ewan Kelso, he comes from a farming background, pest control with Fero farmers as well. He's taken me out for a few times to show me the ins and outs of the deer shooting. I had a couple of results which were spectacular. And at the beginning of the year, I did my first 3 overnight solos into the Tararoo. It was spectacular. I got 1 result out of the 3 trips. And I really appreciate and understand the benefits of being out there. But actually, despite the fact that through policing, when I was a sworn officer, and through my 20 years in the territorials, I had a lot of firearms experience, but not hunting experience. There's a fundamental difference, right? So by having you and coach me through those things, I was better for it when actually getting out there by myself. Now I've been out there even with my youngest daughter, and we had a result which was spectacular for her. So we really want to be able to work with communities to create this framework and get out there and get some results with you for the benefit of those people that after the course, could they become a branch member? Could they actually just have a connection to the community? And it's not just Deerstalkers, right? It could be anywhere. There's a lot of remote places in the country which is just, someone who's got the right skills, knowledge, experience, they've got the recognition or the mana in the community that people will feel a lot more confident in potentially going to them for the safety course, and we would recognise that delivery. We're also working hard to make our services more accessible. So we are a regulator, and we do make decisions. And you're not customers, you are licence holders or applicants for that, but we do provide services. So we've got to take the services out there. So this could be one of the ways of doing it. Another way of doing it is one of my team, he's come to us off the back of 20 years of education, the last 4 of those as an assistant principal, and he's worked with the relevant Ministry of Ed and others to establish a framework around the course which will see those attending it being eligible for 3 NZDA credits at level 2. So we piloted that in 4 schools, 1 alternative education program earlier in the year. It went really well, and what we're looking to do is roll that out next calendar year. So the intention basically is there's a lot of places around the country. I observe one of the pilots up in Fielding, which is a rural location, or provincial location, and of the 15 students that went on that, every single one of them was either doing clay target club, hunting, or doing both. And so unsurprisingly, they were really keen to be on the course. So by doing it in school and they get 3 NCA credits, there's a real plus opportunity to enable them to do something they're doing anyway, and most often with family or through a clay target type club, and leverage those people around them to contribute to that much more than just the course itself. It also brings more people into the licensing regime, which is a good thing. Make sure they understand their compliance requirements and things like that, and how we make it simple. Understanding transportation security. Yes, there is a gold standard, but there's also a basic standard to meet the legislative requirements. We start there because there's affordability, practicality, and make it easy aspect to that. So we have to be really consistent and drive those things. So look, there's a lot on the horizon. I think there's some really golden opportunities to contribute to safe outcomes and the compliance outcomes as well, because both are interlinked and very important. I think too, if I look back to 2017 when I started in this space, there was 244,000 licence holders. Today there's 228,000 licence holders. And that's simply because 59% of the population are 50 or older. So I'm 55, I'm in that bracket, I got my licence when I was 16. And effectively we're an ageing out community. We're less than 5% of the New Zealand population, so it's bigger for us, but it's not necessarily big for the rest of the community. There's an element of social licence that we need to continue to collectively work towards to, keep the relevance of firearms for pest control, food on the table, to the fore of others as well, for the benefits that there are. So look, ageing out community, we've had a steady number of new people coming through consistently. It's 5,000 each year, so we're not losing new people coming through, we just got people exiting at the other end. So look, that's the spiel. Open up for any questions on any topic around that, or any general firearms topic that you might have for ourselves as the regulator. But just before I hand over the microphone, so to speak, look, thanks for what you do. I think things like the hunts course, or just having your club opportunities, to have people here coming together is really huge. There's a lot of communities around the country that benefit from good food on the table, which wouldn't otherwise be gathered. I think there are some emerging risks and issues for us. Those things are here now. It still continues to be that target identification without doubt. Certainly thermals are bringing in another aspect that we all need to be really conscious of and promote the best behaviours and all these things. But I'm excited about the opportunities going forward. I think that, if we work together, and I think we do, we're going to continue to get some really great results. Anyway, I'll shut up and take questions.
We're down one McIlraith, so I'll get two. So whoever wants the next question, we'll get it after.
Mark Elliott, McIlraith. We talked at lunchtime. I'll just pass it on about Craig Valentine, who's one of the regional managers that looks after the Wanaka and southern area. I just hope you can speak about those guys and what they do. We've had him at two of our general meetings, and it was a good opportunity for members to hear what you do from the department direct, and also to answer any questions and put away any rumours or misconceptions about what's going on. So I think that's an opportunity for branches to get your staff to our meetings, and if you'd just like to speak to what they do in this capacity. He also was visiting members with the renewal of licences at the same time, so it's nice to put a face to the name.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's always a good opportunity for us to get before individuals or groups and organisations. Like any organisation, one of our, this is not about Greg, but one of our challenges generally also is consistency information that we provide, making sure we don't put a personal spin on things, making sure that we're consistent in those things. So let's take transportation of firearms and ammunition as an example. You know, the firearm has to be unloaded, it has to be inoperable, it needs to be out of sight, ammunition needs to be locked in the glove box or somewhere practical. You know, and at the minimum standard, that means for a bolt action rifle, the bolt's out, put in your pocket. The ammo's hidden away, I'll put in your backpack, put in your pocket. The rifle's on the back seat under a blanket in your pocket. Or at the gold standards in a hard case, locked away type case. You know, there's really benefits for us getting out there. I encourage people also to check our website for consistent information where you're hearing some things, because there is misinformation out there or there's incorrect information out there, and we really want to continue to drive those real understandings.
Hi there, John Wilson, Wellington branch. Just got a question on how you're going to cope with the huge load of people reviewing their licences coming up shortly. When all the licences periods were changed to a shorter period, there's 1 year where everybody was renewed. Again, we're going to have to do that again. So have you got enough numbers there to do it, to allow us to do enough time? Do we need to pre-prepare for this?
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of moving parts around there. I'll try to get them in order. So very briefly, as you know, as license holders, existing license holders, as long as you apply for a new license before the expiry of your current license, the legislation which changed in 2022 will recognise there's still a licensed person to continue to possess and use firearms and ammunition, so you're good to go. So key to that is for yourself and your members is know your expiry date, put that application in early. Do come in early, then you can sit in the system and you can carry on doing what you need to do. What that means is I'm due for relicensing next year. I'm due in 2026. Is that like a number of licence holders, I'll then be walking around with an expired licence card for a period of time until Te Tau Puriki make a decision on my new application. Just on the decision point around application, it's not your application date or the expiry date of your current licence that your new licence is issued from, it's from the issue date. So in my case, if I apply in 2026 and they issue me a new licence in 2027, my new 10-year licence starts in 2027 going forward. In relation to a private transaction, if I've got the expired card but I am licensed because I applied early, we encourage people to go to our website, top right hand corner is Firearms Licence Checker. You put in the name, your licence number, and it comes back with valid or not valid around the licence. This is particularly important if you're travelling with airlines or other providers who want to check the validity of your licence. We've worked with Air New Zealand and others to share the fact that we put people with expired cards, but they are actually licensed, and to use the licence checker. We know that if you go to a dealership, the new dealer transaction record is linked to the licence checker and gives a valid response or not there. In relation to general demand, it goes back to the tragedy in Moana in 1990, so between 92 and 96, everybody went from a lifetime licence. I had one of those too, so I get the pain, it is what it is. In a 4-year period, everybody had to re-license. So we get a 10-year demand curve, which effectively doubles our demand. We are resourced for standard demand of that early 20,000 licences each year, and that's what we're going to be able to deliver against. So what it means is that, if there's legislation change in the future that gives us some abilities to shift that bell curve, that's going to be a really great thing. But if not, operationally, we're going to have people sitting in the queue longer with an expired card, but they are licensed because they've come in early. So you just probably need to have some understanding around it will take longer because of the demand. And from a business perspective, we've got a lot of things to do. Licensing is our biggest bucket of work, but it's not our only bucket of work. We've got quite a few things to do. Hopefully that helps.
Sounds good.
So I get it.
Lucky.
Minister says lucky.
Yeah, David here from the Southern Lakes.
Okay, David.
In regards to educating the likes of Air New Zealand on what the rules actually are, because it seems to be from my experience in co-hunters that it comes down to someone's personal opinion on the day. And on a couple of occasions just recently, myself and mates have been left high and dry at the destination trying to come home after getting there without coming home with your firearms. So what are you doing to address that?
Yeah. So we've worked very hard to try to find the right connections with Air New Zealand. It's been really difficult. We think we've now landed it. We're now reliant on their internal processes and messaging and training to make sure that their frontline staff understand what this is all about, how they can use licensure and be assured that, Michael John McIlraith coming in to be transported with a firearm, despite the plastic card saying it's expired, I'm actually good to go. There's a human factor in there. We've done what we think we can do. If you've got any Air New Zealand connections, I'd encourage you to leverage them and get them to be aware of this. It's certainly clear on our website. I can't say that it won't be a problem going forward. We've certainly done the very best we can to try to mitigate that.
Not a question, but I just want to actually acknowledge Mike here. Mike runs the partnerships team, and we've worked closely together for 5 years, and we regularly engage, and Mike's always open to hearing concerns. He also hosts and runs FCAF, which is the Firearm Advisory Community Forum, and yeah, it's been really good to have Mike here today as well and speak about the training, because there's been a lot of nervousness around the future of training, Mike. So firstly, thank you for explaining what you're doing. And then the other thing is, Mike has been trying to work on those things like Air New Zealand. We've been raising that, and then if you do have any issues that you need me to raise, just tell your rep, so your board rep, before every FCAF meeting, I'll ask the board members for any issues or any topics, and then I'll collate those, and then we can put those into an agenda that Mike and his team then filter. So just on a broader context, you can always let us know if you've got issues, and then I just want to acknowledge Mike's always open to having meetings about discussing those issues.
Thank you, Gordon. Can I also just recognise that it's easy for me to stand here as the director of this particular partnership, but I've got a really amazing team behind me who actually do all the heavy lifting. So they can't all be here today, but just to recognise that there's a lot of people working really hard. Can I just do a quick call out to Glenn Thurston. He had a really tough experience back in 2018 in the old regime. He's been really pragmatic about it. He's seen the opportunity to work with us, and Kendra Hill, one of my team, amazing young lady who she and Glenn have worked closely together. We're out your way in Hawera last year with a bit of a podcast, and Kendra's been with you more recently around some stuff. And mental health is a real thing in all communities. It doesn't mean someone with mental health challenge can't be a licence holder, or if you are a licence holder, you need to step away for a little while. There's a whole lot of ways of doing it without getting revoked. I really encourage you to support Glenn's work as an organisation. I think the messaging and opportunities around this go much further than just the licensed population, but even if we can just get across the licensed population to understand that as a licence holder there's so much goodness being out there, and that we can, as a regulator, put some things in place to make sure that you're still safe, your family's still safe, and you're getting the benefits of being out there. So Glenn's a walking guru. Kendra Hill from my team is also a walking guru around this stuff, and it's a real example of working collaboratively to raise awareness of things, get some traction, and just saying Glenn needs a bit of funding. So if anyone's got any connections out there, been really good to give them a bit of support in those spaces, Minister.
Yeah, hi there. John Field from North Canterbury. We're obviously really interested in safe use of firearms and the theory side of things, obviously, well done. Is there any thought about practical use for these, for trainees, brand new firearms, don't know which is which? Given that we have a rifle range, we have it, and some interest in it, but is that something that might be considered?
Yeah, look, there's a whole lot there. I've raised a few eyebrows in different places when I talked about live fire being a component of the safety course. I personally think that would be a great outcome. It's quite complicated because as the regulator, whatever you require of someone, you have to be sure that you can do it everywhere in the country, and that's pretty challenging at a whole lot of levels. One aspect could be cost, another aspect could be, certified rangers, another aspect could be, the right people, the right equipment, health and safety, all those sorts of things. Doesn't mean it can't be done, and let's face it, from a Hunts course perspective, you do it, and do it safely and well. In part to address that is the opportunity around community-based framework for community delivery, where you can take that person, whether it's through a formalised course of Hunts or even just through buddy training and coaching out in the field, that can be an aspect of mitigation. Certainly, getting behind fire for the first time with the live rounds, it's a thing. There's a lot of townies now. I'm a townie. When I'm first exposed to it, it's a real thing when you first get behind it, as opposed to maybe real people who more readily grow up with it. So it's more of a lifestyle. But look, I think there's definitely a conversation to be had. Our short-term goal will be to get the community delivery up and going, as well as the current team that are out there doing our engagement education, put in the safety course, and then to work with community, understand what can be added next as a plus thing. If you can deliver in your place, please keep going. It's great.
Hi Mike, Tracy from up in Northland, sort of ex-staff member of Mount Safety in the whole program and current clinical psychologist. Just with the new licensing process, it's quite big, all the interviews and things that happen. Are you collecting stats to look at how much that's improving things? And where would we get access to that if you are?
Yeah, so we've made changes in that process. So as an example, I've often heard it's a 40-page form. Well, if you print it off, it is a 40-page form. If you go online, it's the same questions, and often many of them are either not applicable or it's a no, so you can actually move through it quite quickly. So it's actually not as daunting as you think. For first-time applicants, we continue to do full home visits, referee visits, all those sorts of things. We've implemented what's called the acronym's TRA, triage responsible. I know I should know, it's just the reason we want to get on the spot. But anyway, what we do is we put a matrix over applicants, and what that means is about 70%, nearly 70% of applicants these days get a slightly different touch, which means your referees are rung up, and both your referees, both your spouse referee and your independent, but we still come to your house and speak to you and do your check your safe and things like that. There's someone else, the other 20-odd% of people, you're either medium or high in the triage world for a variety of reasons, and we do the full thing, maybe also get extra things around them to understand, help out decision making. One of the really interesting things about that is that it gives us an opportunity to reinvest time into other aspects of our business, because yes, we're funded, but we've only got a given amount of funding. Like any government organisation, you need to use it really in a considered way. But it does give us those reinvestment opportunities. One of those reinvestment opportunities is what we brought about in 2021, which is about continuous eligibility scanning, which says, like McIlraith, I've been in the system since I was 16. Fortunately, the worst I've had is one speeding ticket. Though throughout the cycle of my licence, it's how do we monitor Mike and all the mics out there to understand, are they still fit and proper, or are other things going on that we want to do an intervention about. So it's continued eligibility scanning. What it means in practice is that if I came to the attention of police for being a witness to something, an offender or whatever it might be, it pops up on our team's radar, and they look at it and they go, interesting, nothing to see here. Maybe we'll see Mike a reminder about obligations, or actually, we might need to consider suspending his licence while considering a revocation. Just on that, last financial year, there was a 28% drop in the number of people that had their licence revoked based on the earlier 3-year average. The earlier 3-year average was 900 odd people, so 28% less of that is 600 and something. This last financial year ended up in that particular bucket, so it's less than 0.5% of the population, which is representative of a number of things. Licence holders understanding what they need to do and go about doing it really well, and us contributing to that. I mean, as a regulator, we're about engaging, educating, encouraging, and regulatory enforcement as required. That's a really small bucket of work for us. That collaborative effort, just like to call out Doc here as well. Just even the permitting thing, how they've worked hard to make that more accessible and easy. It makes it a year and you can pick a whole country and things like that. As part of a systems approach to all that we're doing, working together is a really great way. Ben, Mike, and my team and I, we meet on a regular basis. Karina, when she was in the fishing game, came in, and I was able to catch up with Grant Dodson. This is my cue to go. It's a real community effort. So anyway, one more question. No, you're all good. Okay. Anyway, I'm around for this afternoon. Keep doing what you're doing through your branches and individually. It's good for yourselves, as you know, as well as New Zealand, food on the table. Looking forward to working with you and keeping you abreast of safety changes as we go forward, and getting that work group up and running so we can understand what the community framework will look like. Keep safe and well out there. Thank you.